trad wife lifestyle sounds great. It's all fun and games until your husband cheats on you, decides to leave you for someone younger, decides he's just no longer attracted to you, tries to take your life. It's all fun and games until that happens, because your entire well-being, your entire livelihood is dependent on whether or not that man finds you valuable.
I literally worked for room and board. That's it.
Room and board in exchange for 24/7 unpaid labor is indentured servitude. Hey, bestie! Welcome to the Spoiled Girly Support Group podcast, where we talk about how to get that bag while also securing your own bag. I'm your host, Elle, and let's get into it. On today's episode, we are talking about life after trad wife life. We are listening to women's stories about how they ended up broke, homeless, unemployed, or underemployed, and generally regretful over their life choices to become trad wives. Apparently, trad wife life isn't as rosy as the trad influencers paint them to be. The general theme today is that your own money and education will never leave you, but a man can and sometimes will. We have a lot to cover, but before we get into it, I need you to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss a Spoiled Girly episode. With that being said, let's get into it.
I want to start this video by saying that I'm not asking for money and I'm not asking for sympathy. What I'm asking for is, if you are a young 14, 16, 21-year-old girl, listen up. I drove to the grocery store. I need to grab some milk and bread and a couple things, flipped open the pink app on my phone, and I've been sitting in my car crying ever since because I never have enough money. And why do I never have enough money? Because when I was a 19-year-old girl, I fell in love. My Mormon faith told me that I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. I got married. I started having babies. I dropped out of college. I never had a career. My only jobs that I ever had in life were a waitress at the Olive Garden and managing a pretzel maker in a mall.
I just want to say thank you to all the women who go online and share their stories so that other women can learn from them. It takes a lot of courage and humility and self-awareness to be able to look back and realize that there were things that you could have done better. And on top of that, share with other women as a point of learning so that we wouldn't have to make the same mistakes, so that we wouldn't have to learn the hard way. So thank you to all those women who share their stories online. Now back to what she just said, bestie, never ever drop out of college for a man, okay? It is true that college will always be there for you. So if you want to take some risk and pursue modeling or acting or dance or art or entrepreneurship, something that needs to be done now, something that relies on you to be a certain age, something that you can't put off until after college, like something with such a large opportunity cost that if you give it up, like you're just gonna miss out on so much. Yes, college will always be there for you. And even when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, like college will still be there for you. If you want to get another degree or just like learn something, college will always be there for you, okay? With that being said, men will also always be there for you. There's plenty of men, okay? And if he cannot wait until after you're done with your education, that's a sign that he's not the one, okay? Here's something that you need to know. When you are being pressured or rushed into big decisions, you're being rushed for a reason, because it's probably not a good deal for you to begin with. And they need to create that sense of urgency to push you into making that decision that will favor them, okay? Huge life decisions like being in a relationship with someone, getting married to someone, having children, dropping out of college, like those are big decisions. Like you shouldn't feel rushed. Like when people manufacture urgency for you, it's probably because it's not a good deal to begin with, okay? That's a tip. So don't think that you need to drop out of school now, get married now, have babies now, okay? And honestly, people get married and still stay in school. Like, what is this urgency for you to stay home? There's none. There is no urgency for you to drop out of school and stay home, okay? And you can still be in a relationship while you're getting your education. Like, why are you rushing to get married and have children? Like, will 4 years really make a difference for you? 4 years from when you're 18 to 22, 23? It's not. It's not going to make a difference difference, okay? Like all these people who want to lock down young women at such a young age and telling them that they're going to expire at a certain age, when that certain age is when you're most likely to be educated, making your own money, having the skills and the career, and have your frontal lobe fully developed.
Kind of suspicious, if you ask me. That's suspicious.
So don't believe the people who tell you that you're going to expire at a certain age. Women never expire, and women never hit the wall. It's always the people who are born at the wall threatening women that we're gonna hit the wall, okay? Sorry, the wall doesn't exist for us. So that's projection, by the way. Long story short, don't ever feel rushed into making huge life decisions, especially if those life decisions include you giving up your education, your career, your earning potential, your autonomy. Always be getting your bag no matter what. Speaking of getting that bag, let's talk about today's sponsor, Scentbird. Have you ever bought a full-size bottle of perfume and found that after a few uses, you didn't like the scent anymore? Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that allows you to try new designer fragrances each month for just $17. With each fragrance, you'll get a 30-day supply to try new fragrances before deciding if you want to buy the full-size bottle. Discover your signature scent or find a new one this year with Scentbird. I honestly feel like an outfit isn't complete without a fragrance. Like, I could be wearing sweats, like the most casual outfit, but if I put a fragrance on, I feel so put together, like I have my life figured out. And my favorite ever perfumes are the ones that give me the sun-kissed, salty ocean skin with a hint of sunscreen, wafting on a warm afternoon breeze. Like, that's the vibe of my favorite perfumes. And Scentbird also has one of those perfumes. So I got the Lamar from House of Beau, and the top notes include Arabian jasmine, pink pepper, seawater, gardenia, coconut, and almond milk. The way this smells into my skin with the coconut and the seawater, like, it's giving coconut girl. That's what it's giving. It comes with this magnetic case that you twist so you can spray. And you can actually take the case apart so that you can see the glass vial inside and see how much product is in there. Like, that is a lot of product. I also got the Quintessence by Avant, and the top notes include orange blossom, jasmine, patchouli, vanilla, and white musk. Like, the vibe is sexy. Scentbird makes it so easy to experiment with different fragrances and find one that suits your personality and style the best. They have perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options. Some fragrances cost over $150 and some are even $300 to $500. But for just $17 a month, you can try them out to make sure they're right for you before you buy them. Like the Lamar, this is $290 retail. Make sure to click the link below to visit Scentbird's website or scan the QR code and use code MANIFESTL to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. And that's only about $8 for your first month. And a big thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the topic. You most certainly can wait until you're 22 or 23 years old. Like, there is no rush to be in a relationship or be married and have children. Like, come on now. And let's talk about this. Like, these people who fearmonger women about our supposed expiration, they're gonna be the very same people who will abandon you when they get married to you young because you have expired. Like, think about that for a second. Like, if a man subscribes to that thought process that women expire at a certain age, why would you want to be with them in the first place? Because aging is inevitable. Like, you're gonna age, period. Okay, so if a man believes that, okay, thank you for letting us know to avoid you. Bye. Like, these are the same people who will abandon their wives and their children to go for the next younger woman. Like, also, don't ever feel like you're being rushed.
Like, oh, there's not gonna be enough good men and blah, 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 like we're running out.
Because it does seem like there's not a lot of good men, especially when you go online. But they're real in real life, okay? Because the reason why the online space is filled with just bad examples of masculinity, like toxic masculinity, and just like malicious below bare minimum low effort men, like they're the ones who are online. They're the ones online gossiping in their little mics, in their podcasts with their bros. You know why? Because the good men are working. The good men are not online, like gossiping, engaging in discreet information sharing with their bros, like. So that's why the online space is filled with just that negative, toxic, male-centered content, is because the good men are in real life doing good things, working, contributing to the economy, providing for their families, loving the women in their life. Like, that's why. Okay, so they are real in real life. So don't feel rushed because it's kind of cynical, but it's real though. Almost 50% of marriages end up in divorces. So if you miss this round, you'll catch the next one, you know? I mean, we're not celebrating that fact. It's just a fact. No matter how much we feel about that fact, it doesn't change anything, okay? So it is what it is. So if you're feeling left out because you feel like you waited too long, there will be a next wave. So catch them then. Do not give up your autonomy for a man. And let's talk about this because this is such a common theme in books and in just general, I guess, conversations about men and women, is that men love free birds. They take pleasure in caging a free bird. Like, they take pleasure in you giving up something to be with them. There was that Reddit thread about how men don't want women who, not that we care about what they want, it's just a thing, okay? They would rather be with someone who has the education and the career and the skills and have that woman give it up because to them, that's a source of pride that their highly educated wife gave up her career to stay home with the children, and that they would rather pick. Ugh, I swear, like, it's hard to talk about these things. I'm not promoting this, okay? Like, I am not promoting this. This is just a thing. Like, I'm just relaying to you the observations, okay? They would rather pick a woman who has the education and the career versus someone who was a built-in wife, who didn't go to school or didn't have any ambitions other than to be a wife, because that woman is not giving up anything to be with a man. So it's this act of giving up something that makes women desirable. That's why a lot of men, they want the free birds, they want the career women, they want the ambitious women just to cut them down, just to cage them. Okay, so let that sink in. So, when I hear about these things, it kind of makes me lose faith in humanity, but it is what it is, It is what it is. Now we know. In summary, don't ever feel rushed into making life decisions, especially if those life decisions mean you giving up your education, your career, your earning potential, your autonomy.
Oh, my first couple years of marriage, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I bought a windshield business. I was 20. And my Mormon stake president reminded me that women weren't supposed to work, so I quit my own business, handed it over to my husband, took my name off of it. I would work.
What? Okay, I'm not Mormon, so I can't relate, but I can't believe people do this. That is so unconscionable. Let me tell you about something that I really admire about men. They have this brotherhood thing going on. Like, they're really looking out for each other. So it makes me so sad whenever I see women who don't actively participate in sisterhood, who don't look out for other women. Men will always protect men. Okay? Unconscionable.
Our family business throughout the next 24 years of my marriage, but I never got paid. I didn't have a salary. My name wasn't on it. I literally worked for room and board. That's it.
So this reminds me of this TikTok video. It says, do you ever get tired of reminding women that room and board in exchange for their 24/7 unpaid labor is actually indentured servitude? Let's repeat that, okay?
I literally worked for room and board. That's it.
Room and board in exchange for 24/7 unpaid labor is indentured servitude. Let's get into the comments.
I'll take care of you. Oh, really? You're going to contribute to my investment portfolio? No retirement contributions or nothing.
We already covered spousal IRAs in this class. It's essentially a retirement account that is in the non-working spouse's name, funded by income earned by the working spouse. At the bare minimum, you should have this, but if you and your husband make more than the limits or you want to contribute more than the limits, you can just open a general brokerage account. Or you can set up what is known as a spousal gift trust, or more formally known as a spousal lifetime access trust, or a SLAT.
A SLAT is an irrevocable trust that allows one spouse, the donor spouse, to gift assets to a trust to benefit the other spouse and potentially other family members, thereby removing the assets from their combined estates.
So in the world of wealth management, this is a very common thing to do. As the working spouse, usually the husband, he would set this up in his wife's name so that the assets in the trust would be safe from potential litigation and creditors. So the risk of potential lawsuits and creditors, this is actually why a lot of wealthy couples, usually they would divorce pending litigation so that the wife's share would be safe. Okay, so think about all the people who divorced while in litigation. But also, it's great for the non-working spouse, usually the woman, because everything housed in the trust is technically hers, and she would get the earnings and the distributions from that trust, and then when she passes, it passes on to usually her kids or some other relatives the husband would never directly benefit from this trust. Like, it really is hers. There's definitely downsides to setting up SLATs for you and your household, but couples still do them because it makes sense for them. So if you want to learn more about that, go talk to a professional. Now, would a SLAT have made a difference for the woman in this video? I don't know. Because the way she describes her ex-husband,
I had to end my 24-year marriage because my brutally violent ex-husband was going to end my life eventually.
he probably would have been more vindictive and violent and successful in evaporating her from existence and into the next world if she walked away with a lot of money. Okay, let's talk about it. I feel like I've lived so many lives when I started opening myself up to the stories of other women. But let me tell you a very common story that I have heard from women, and actually wealthy women who divorced their husbands. So these women, when they divorce, they don't ask for a lot or anything because they just wanted to leave with their lives, because the culture, subculture, background, family that they married into, which usually they would share that culture, subculture, background, family dynamic with the person that they're marrying. So usually it's like a intra-cultural deal, so they share the same thing. So women who, number one, had the audacity to ask for a divorce in the first place, and second, had the audacity to ask for anything in the divorce, it's very risky, okay? That's why they don't file for alimony, child support, equity split, nothing. They just leave with their lives, okay? So it's widely understood that if you're a woman within that culture, subculture, background, family dynamic, you leave with nothing, okay? And I don't want to scare you with this knowledge, like, it's just a fact. So do with that information what you will.
For 24 years, I lived in $1 million homes. I vacationed all over the world. I spent my summers in Hawaii. I could buy myself $500 jeans, diamond tennis bracelets. We had boats and RVs and whatever I wanted. And it never bothered me once that my financial security was dependent on that man being in love with me. I never realized that him liking me or not liking me or finding me sexy or attractive or interesting determined whether or not my children could eat, whether or not I could buy myself a jug of milk and a loaf of bread.
I think that line really resonated with a lot of women. It never bothered me once that my financial security was dependent on that man being in love with me, that her children eating was dependent on that man being in love with her. That's just sad.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't wonder why. Why I didn't have a backup plan. Why my kids eating and having stability was dependent on a romantic relationship. Why nobody told me to put money in the bank. Why nobody told me don't have babies until you have an education and some experience. Don't have so many kids. I wish somebody had told me to put my name on our vehicle loans and to put my name on our houses. I wish somebody had told me that it's okay to put those babies in daycare for a couple days a week and go to college.
Okay, let's talk about this because I feel like it's so unfair that women cannot catch a break. Okay, like the world is unfair, I get it, but doesn't mean that we can stop talking about how unfair it is. Okay. Being a mother in itself is a full-time job, but to guarantee our safety, financial safety, our well-being, general safety, we also need to talk about keeping up our jobs outside of the house, keeping up our education so that no matter what, we'll be fine, on top of the already full-time job that we have, okay? And let's be real, being a wife is a part-time job. But a lot of women have figured out the balance for themselves. They delay having children, they get their degrees, maybe an advanced degree, they gain work experience, they gain seniority, they gain money and fund their retirement accounts. And then they have children. Some of them retire for 2 to 3 years and then get back into the workforce, and some women work part-time or per diem. So women have found the balance for themselves. But isn't it funny that we have to find the balance for ourselves, okay? I always tell you, men are inherently risk, men are inherently labor. A relationship between a man and a woman will never be equal, okay? 50-50 is never 50-50. 50-50 financially disadvantages the woman. A woman providing disadvantages the woman because inherently women perform so much more labor than men do in a relationship. It's just how it is. So unless you accept that, you're always going to find yourself in inequitable relationships, okay? Because like I said, relationships between men and women, they will never be equal. That's why you need to create equitable conditions for you to thrive and vibe in this relationship so that you can feel loved, so that you can flourish more in love, okay? Like, we're lover girls. Like, we want to fall in love. We want to feel the butterflies and like just the warm hug feeling within you when you're in love.
You can be happy and rich and loving your life like Ballerina Farm until the guy walks out. I want you guys to imagine for a minute, even rich Hannah. If Deanna walked out, if all of his financial backing and he had to sell the farm, and then what does she have? Find another rich boy to marry?
Okay, let's talk about this, because we already did a class on how you're not privileged enough to pursue your passion. And this is one of those things. Like, if your passion is to be a trad wife, it requires a certain amount of privilege to be a trad wife safely. So, as it turns out, Hannah Nealman and her family, they're generational wealth, okay? So, they have that privilege to be a trad wife safely. So, what would happen if Mr. Ballerina Farm walked out on Mrs. Ballerina Farm? She'll be fine. And she also says, oh, would she have to find another rich boy to marry? Probably, because that's her dating pool. She only knows rich boys, so she's only gonna marry rich boys, okay? So it requires a certain amount of privilege to be a trad wife, just as much as it requires a certain amount of privilege to pursue these low return on investment careers or education. Like, if you don't have the privilege to engage in these endeavors, you're gonna end up feeling duped. You're gonna be disadvantaged, okay? So it is the ultimate status signal to be a trad wife safely. It is the ultimate status signal to engage in these low ROI, highly risky endeavors, okay? Like, can we just think? There's a lot of things that you just don't have enough privilege for, and that's okay. Pursue the things that you can engage with safely, the high ROI endeavors, okay? So if you have the privilege of family wealth or personal wealth or generational wealth, the trad wife life might be right for you. But for a lot of us women, we simply do not have enough privilege to be a trad wife safely, okay? A lot of women don't have families who will support them after walking away from trad wife life. A lot of families won't have the good male presence in their lives to see that other men are manipulating you, other men are disadvantaging you, other men are keeping you from being educated, other men are taking businesses from your name and transferring it to another man's name, other men are preventing you from having your own bank account, okay? So that is a privilege that a lot of women don't have. So if you don't have that, I'm sorry, but you can't be a trad wife. You don't have enough privilege. Like, if you become trad wife, you will not be okay. So can we, like, wake up and be for real and see that there are certain things that certain women with certain privileges can do that we can't? And that's probably not okay, but it is what it is. Let's hear another woman's thoughts on being an ex-trad wife.
When you decide the trad wife life isn't working out the way you planned, so after 10 years of dedication and 4 kids, you're starting over.
Let's get into the comments.
Meanwhile, women like myself wish to be trad wife or som and not a slave to the grind.
As we talked about in this class, trad wife life is appealing to a lot of women right now, especially younger women, because we have seen how the pendulum swings the other way with the girl boss, boss babe, corporate girly era. Like, we got so burnt out. Like, we're girl boss so close to the sun. We burned ourselves out. Okay, so for a lot of us, it didn't work out. And even if we did end up there, like, we broke the glass ceilings, we were in positions of power, like ruling everything, we didn't want to stay there. It's exhausting. Like, we were like,
this is not a vibe. I came, I saw, I'm saying bye.
Because there has to be a better way. And that's what we're doing here in the Spoiled Girly support group. We are finding the better way. And that better way may not look the exact same for every single woman. And that's the point, okay? So I'm so happy that you're here, but there is no one prescription for a good spoiled girly life. You have to figure it out yourself. We're just here for the vibes.
I didn't identify with trad wife, but same. 12 years, 3 kids. He's got a 22-year-old he met off TikTok, while I'm drowning in diapers with no village. I knew trad wife life wasn't gonna happen when he threatened to leave me penniless 2 months in. I've been working and saving for a lawyer for 2 years. 11 years and I'm starting over, tired of being a married single mom. I love my husband, but the inequality of work is killing me. I don't want to leave, but I don't want this life either.
Bestie, you need to wake up, okay? Bestie, wake up. Here's some other videos in case you're having a hard time waking up.
If I can give y'all one piece of advice, because like this woman, I sympathize for her. My mother went through the same thing as a trad wife. You know, she went from living lavish as a wife to, from one day to the next, having to struggle to make ends meet to feed me and my siblings. So I just wanted to say, always have your own money, your own assets, okay? Men, boys, they're always going to be around. I need you to put them to the very back of your priority list, and I need you to get your degrees, your certificates, start a business, but always have something that you can earn on your own. We need to, you know, have our plans, have our backup plans, cross our T's and dot our I's, and have our own money. Okay?
I was a stay-at-home wife, or stay-at-home mom. At 24, had my second son and had been a stay-at-home mom for 2 years. In that time, my ex-husband, who had already shown signs of being abusive, had gotten exponentially worse to the point where he almost took my life twice. And so I had no choice but to leave. So I had absolutely no money. So he's never paid any child support. This man used to make $150,000 a year. We had a really decent, comfortable life. He almost took my life. And because I didn't really have much of a skill set from being a stay-at-home mom and not really acquiring much by the age of 25 when I left him, I was unemployed. I was homeless, living in dangerous situations with my 2 very small children. I was penniless, and I got nothing from him to support me. Tradwife lifestyle sounds great. It's all fun and games until your husband cheats on you, decides to leave you for someone younger, decides she's just no longer attracted to you, tries to take your life. It's all fun and games until that happens, because your entire well-being, your entire livelihood is dependent on whether or not that man finds you valuable. Find yourself valuable and do what you need to do to take care of you and your kids.
If that didn't wake you up, I don't know what will. That's all I have for you today. I just wanted to let you know that you have so much inherent worth and value in a world that is hell-bent on devaluing you. And a big thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to click the link below to visit Scentbird's website or scan the QR code and use my code MANIFESTL to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Now get that bag, bestie. Also, bestie, wake up.